Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it. Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Guys, how we doing?
We're doing good, Skip. Who'd have thought a black head coach could knock Tom Brady? An ex-black.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to say to you that in sheer shock value, the Brian Flores bombshell was right there with the Brady retirement bombshell. So let's discuss.
All normally scheduled programming.
Absolutely. I started reading everything yesterday, and of course we're hearing more from Flores this morning as he's making some media rounds. We're going to get into all that, and I want your thoughts right now. Here's the latest. Former Dolphins head coach Brian Flores has filed a class action lawsuit against the NFL and several teams alleging discrimination in the hiring processes across the league. And in this suit, Flores cites text messages Bill Belichick sent to him, mistakenly thinking he was messaging Brian Daboll, saying that Daboll had already secured the Giants head coaching job days before Flores had even interviewed for the position. We've seen the text messages. We know the situation. Shannon, scale of 1 to 10, how much impact will this lawsuit have?
A 2. Because I think it's going to be something really, really tough to prove to make a long-term impact, Skip. At the end of the day, it's up to the 32 owners to make this right. Skip, when we hear about NFL, everybody wants to run, jump on Roger Goodell. Everybody wants to run, jump on Troy Benson. But you know you've covered this league. They have bosses, and there are 32 of them. I can't tell, Commissioner Goodell and Troy Benson can't tell these men, hire this or hire that. They've tried to incentivize it. We'll give you extra draft compensation if you do this. Man, please. Nobody thought, Skip, when Jerry Jones brought in Marvin Lewis last year, that Marvin Lewis was going to get that job. Everybody knew it was a token. Skip, they've even tried to add more teeth to the Rooney Rule. Now you got to bring in 2 minority coaches. Now you got to bring in 2 minorities for upper management.
Yep, from outside your organization.
Outside your organization.
Yep.
And guess what? Nothing. Brian Flores, right now, he's isolated. And when you're isolated, Skip, it's easy for you to pick off. If you notice animals, they like to herd together. That way it makes it easier for one of them to get picked off. Once you find one isolated, it makes him easier to attack. He's hoping that other black coaches, other minority coaches, join this lawsuit and share similar experiences from what he's gone through. Now it gives it more credibility. Now it gives it more teeth.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping also, I just saw something, Skip, and I didn't get an opportunity to look at it because I was rushing up here to get mic'd up, is that Hugh Jackson says I can share some of my experiences also. Skip, it's just, look, Brian Flores might be the Curt Flood. And you know who Curt Flood is. And for our younger viewers, Curt Flood is responsible for free agency in baseball. Yeah. We see the money that all these guys make. He didn't benefit.
Okay, just quick story, because that was my favorite childhood team, and he was one of my favorite players for the old St. Louis Cardinals of the 60s. And all of a sudden, he gets traded to Philadelphia, and he doesn't want to go to Philadelphia because Philadelphia is where he had experienced the worst racism as far as jeering and catcalls and whatnot. Right. And he said no. And Marvin Miller, then the head of the players' union, said, okay, well, let's sue. And they sued, and they went to the Supreme Court, and he lost. But he won because it paved the way. It opened the door for free agency. But in that case, there was a realistic goal out there of, what if we just open the floodgates? Well, now baseball players are by far the highest paid across the board because he sacrificed a job, and he got, however you want to say it, blackballed, or you like to say whiteballed. And I'll go with whiteballed. But Curt Flood was done at that point, and he was a really good, he was a Gold Glove center fielder. Who, this was 69 when this happened, and by 71, he's out of baseball because he sacrificed for the greater good. Okay?
And that might be what Brian Flores is having to do, Skip.
I got you.
I'm surprised that he did it, considering that he was still in the process of interviewing for other jobs, but it just lets you know the level of frustration which he had reached.
Okay, but my point on Curt Flood was that was a realistic goal. Let's open the floodgates. Do we have a realistic goal here? Are we ever going to open the floodgates for black head coaches? Are we ever going to get where the NBA's gotten at this moment?
No.
They have 14 black head coaches
Out
in the
of
NBA
30.
out of 30. 14 of 30. They only have one black owner, Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Right.
It's only one black owner. There are no black owners in the sport of the National Football League, but we now have one of 32 left standing, Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh, in the National Football League, right?
Right.
From a high in 2018 of 8. So we've gone from 8 down to 1 in 2022. Go ahead.
And that's the thing, Skip. The end goal was to say, okay, let's have free agency. I should be able to go test the open market and get what the market will bear.
Yeah.
In this situation, you're trying to change the hiring practices. But, Skip, and they always fall. What's the fallback, Skip? We just want to hire the best guy for the job. It seems to me that you think always the best guy for the job happens to look like you. That's not an accident. But, Skip, it's like that. Sports are a microcosm of society. That's how it normally works in society. It takes a special person to hire someone that doesn't look like them, that doesn't talk like them, that doesn't come from a similar background as them, or doesn't know someone that knew them.
Yep.
It takes a special person to do that.
It does.
And Brian Flores is saying, look, guys, you bringing me in. You had already hired Brian Daboll. You bringing me in was a sham. Even though you didn't know I knew that, because Coach Belichick, I recommend you put Brian Flores and Brian Daboll just by leaving it in there, Brian.
Maybe you should put their last name.
Yeah, Brian Daboll
in your
Brian
contacts.
Yes.
Right.
Congratulations on getting the job. You know something I don't know? Yeah, you got the job, right? I'm interviewing on Thursday.
Then he texts back, Coach, are you sure you're not texting Brian Daboll instead of Brian? This is Brian Flores.
Yes.
And Belichick texts back, I effed up.
Yeah.
Sorry. Whew.
I'm sure there are other situations, Skip. A lot of times they're brought in because what, Skip? You got to interview a minority from outside your own organization. And a lot of times this is what they do to pacify. But let me tell you what the NFL will do. The owners are going to say, you know what? We're doing the best we can. We'll let them put another slogan on their helmet. We'll put some slogan in the end zone. We'll hang something from the building to show that we have the symbolism, but nothing with teeth, nothing of substance. And that's what they do. They'll pacify you. Okay, we'll give you a month, but we ain't going to change anything. Okay, we'll give you some slogans, but nothing changes.
Yeah.
And Brian Flores is willing to risk, I believe, his coaching future in order to bring about change. And he said it, Skip, he understands. It might cost me my coaching career.
It might.
But if I can bring about some change, some things need to change, and he's willing to run the risk. There are a lot, Skip, I believe there are a lot of black coaches that possibly thought about this, but saying if I sue the institution that I want to work in, the likelihood of me ever working in that institution again is not very good. We saw what happened with Colin Kaepernick. We knew it, first of all, we knew it was a death sentence the moment he took the stand that he took. Once he brought litigation, we knew for an absolute fact he's never, ever going to play another down in the National Football League. Hopefully, but Skip, I'm afraid that Brian Flores probably coached his last game in the National Football League.
I cannot tell you how much I hope you're wrong about that. I cannot tell you how much I hope you're wrong about a 2 in impact on a scale of 10. My head tells me you're right. My heart tells me please be wrong, because I'm going up to a 6 on a scale of 10 in impact, but I'm wearing rose-colored glasses, and I have been for years on this. And
You're very
admit
optimistic.
too optimistic when it comes to this, but I've seen it start to work and then it fails miserably. And I can't come to grips with a solution here, because in the end it boils down to each owner individually as an independent operator operates this franchise under the guise of the National Football League. And Roger Goodell cannot tell any single owner what to do or not to do. He cannot.
Actually, he worked for them.
He does work for them. So let's break down. These are allegations.
Right.
I got it. But I have to start with this one. I'm sorry. The biggest bombshell in the middle of this bombshell was the allegation that Brian Flores says he was offered $100,000 a game.
Oh, my goodness.
To lose games so they could tank for a better draft pick.
Right.
And that came from Stephen Ross, the owner and operator of the Miami Dolphins. And Brian Flores said on CBS this morning that he believes that that was attacking the integrity of the game, so he said absolutely no.
Correct.
And obviously
that's what he should have said.
Yeah. And he said that ultimately hurt my standing within the organization because I would not collaborate on those kinds of matters.
Right.
And ultimately was the reason I got let go. If that's true, if it can be proven true, how can Stephen Ross be allowed to continue to own a team?
Yeah, he would definitely have to go.
Wouldn't you have to go?
Yes, absolutely.
This is on the magnitude of a Donald Sterling with the Clippers.
Yes.
It's not the same thing, but it's the magnitude of
Actually,
that.
it's worse, Skip, because sports is about, I'm trying to win the game. You can't deliberately throw the game. That's fixing the game. That's the equivalent of somebody going out there like, I'm going to miss shots.
You're going to try to lose this game?
Absolutely.
Offered him $100,000 a pop. Lose one, and that he got angrier and angrier as Brian won games?
Yeah.
You're kidding. What? So I applaud Brian Flores. You want to talk about guts? You want to talk about crusading courage here? I say, I'd like to give him a standing ovation today because it took somebody to call attention to this.
Yeah.
But now to the impact of it, there's going to be resounding shame over it throughout the league. But ultimately, all these owners care about is the bottom line.
Dollars.
So will people at some point be so turned off by this that they won't turn on the television set and watch the NFL? Because that's the only way you could affect change here is if they said, wait a second, this is hurting our bottom line.
Skip, let me ask you a question. You said there's only one current black head coach in the NFL? Fox just had the highest rated NFC Championship game, over 50 million.
Okay.
Clearly, they're not, the people that's watching are unbothered. And that means 50 million, that means advertising. Advertising means more money in these owners' pocket. They're going to be unmoved.
Okay. Now back to percentages. The National Football League, players of color, 71%. So you have 71% of those who actually play the game, who provide the entertainment product on the field. 71% are of color. One head coach is black out of 32 teams. NBA, just for perspective, is 83% of color.
Right.
But 14 out of 30 are black.
Yeah.
Okay. So at least that's credible?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, of course.
Okay. Now back to Brian Flores. He also says that he was pressured to pursue against the rules, by breaking the rules, a quarterback on another team, and he did not specify.
Well, I think we have a very good.
Fire away if you want to, but
it's probably the one that everybody is thinking that Stephen Ross said they're no longer interested in now.
Correct. Okay. But he even says that he arranged a lunch meeting on his yacht, and Brian Flores showed up for it, and so did the quarterback in question. And that Brian Flores said, "I'm sorry, I'm out because this is a violation of the rule. It's blatant violation."
Because guess what, Skip? At the end of the day, the NFL catches wind of this. Guess who gets thrown overboard? Guess who gets to stay on the yacht? The guy that owns the yacht. But the coach that showed up for the meeting, he gets thrown overboard. Brian Flores is no dummy, Skip. He understands the rules that the NFL is governed by.
Yep.
And it's the low man on the totem pole that normally gets dunked on.
Yep, I agree. So Brian Flores has said, and he said in the lawsuit, that I'm gifted in the ability to coach young men.
Yes.
And he is.
Yep.
He is really good at what he does. And the one trait that you can't often identify when you elevate a coordinator is leadership.
Correct.
Commanding officer, charisma, whatever that it quality is.
Yeah.
He's got it.
Yes.
And yet it gets interpreted by owners or GMs as he's a little too full of himself. As he said, he gets dismissed as an angry black man when in fact, he's a really smart, powerful, courageous thinker where the players will listen and follow him.
Right.
And by the way, they went 10-6 a year ago, and then they went 9-8. They had the 7-game losing streak, and then they turned it right around, won 8 of their last 9 games.
Right.
And for that, he got fired? Really? So now
I want you to tank, and you don't do what I ask you to do. I
there you
get
go.
you up out of here.
Okay, so now on the Giants. He knew 3 days ahead of time, thanks to Belichick's blunder, that this was a sham, that it was a token interview like so many of these really real interviews have been over the years.
Yeah, like the one they gave Leslie Frazier, like the one they gave the defensive coordinator that was already in-house, Todd Grantham.
They did, okay. So,
excuse me, Patrick Graham.
Patrick Graham. Not Grantham.
Yes. Patrick Graham, excuse me.
I think, did Caldwell get an interview? I think I wrote this down. But anyway, yeah, they interviewed a couple other black candidates from outside. Okay, so now he could have just rubbed their nose in it. He could have gone in and just said, hey, I'm well aware this is a sham, that you've already chosen Brian Daboll for this job. Right. But he didn't. No. He went in with heart and soul, and he tried hard to get the job. Knowing
that I'm not going to get the job because the job has already been filled.
But he said on CBS this morning that he'd like to believe that people are inherently good in the end, and that if he goes in and really knocks their socks off, that he would have a shot at the job.
So what are they going to do, call up Brian Daboll after they've already given him the job and say, you know what? Brian Flores came in and he blew us away. So we're going to have to rescind the job offer from you and give it to him. That's not happening.
Okay, so now the Giants are responding, we took copious notes and yeah, they did, because you don't think Belichick let them know, whoops, I let the cat out of the bag. Yes. So you don't, because everybody was there, the Maras and Tish and all the owners were there for this Brian Flores meeting. And it seemed like it was on the up and up because it went to 3 hours and they were asking all the right questions. Well, they knew what was up. They knew that they were busted, right?
Exactly.
So wouldn't you go in there and try to put on the best act you could put on?
And Brian Daboll and Coach Belichick has a history.
Well, he worked there.
First of all, it goes back. Brian Daboll was at Michigan State with Coach Saban.
He was.
And then he was on the staff with Coach Belichick. They won a couple of Super Bowls.
But by the way, Brian Flores was with Coach Belichick for 20 years. He started as a scout and moved all the way up the ladder, all the way to defensive coordinator, but he didn't get the title, but he was allowed to operate. And by the way, it was one Brian Flores who, late in a Super Bowl after the 2014 season, had the brilliant idea of, we got to get Malcolm Butler in the game, because who was the guy who was getting toasted at that point?
Kyle Arrington, I think.
Arrington was getting just roasted and toasted. And they put this undrafted free agent from nowhere. West Alabama, I think. Yep. It was Brian Flores who said, I'm putting him in. And Belichick gave him complete autonomy and total control of the defense. And you know the rest of that story. The play of the game got made, and maybe the greatest, it was the greatest defensive player in the history of the Super Bowl.
It might be in history of football.
Of history of football, okay? And it saved a Super Bowl for Tom Brady.
Yes.
Okay, we get that. Okay, so that's how good Brian Flores was. And Belichick was effusive in his praise of Brian Flores and did help him get the job in Miami.
Correct.
Okay? Because they're a division rival.
Yeah, we know. When it comes to anything, one coach is going to get a call universally. Yep. When it came to the 100th anniversary team, there are only a handful of coaches. Who was the first coach you think they reached out to? We know that the Maras and the Tishes have a fondness for Coach Belichick because he was the defensive coordinator under Coach Parcells.
Yep.
I'm sure at some point in time, they would have liked for him to come back and run their organization.
Yep.
Didn't happen. He's in New England. Mr. Kraft has they've done a great job. But I think the thing is, Skip, what's going to work? The Giants says, well, hold on. We did interview Leslie Frazier. That interview was 5-6 hours.
Yep.
We did interview Patrick Graham. That interview was 5-6 hours.
Yep.
Okay, fine and good, and see, that's what they're high behind. But what he's saying is that's just for show. You have no desire. You're only doing this because of the Rooney Rule, and even though the NFL has incentivized it, we know how valuable. Skip, that's money. The money is not really money. Draft capital is how you win championships, how you build a team.
Yep.
The NFL says we'll give you extra picks.
Yep.
Not no sixth rounders, Skip. We talk about third round picks.
Yep.
Possibly even second. If you do the right, they say, nah, you not finna tell me I'm worth $6 billion. I'm not finna tell you who I can't hire. I'm gonna hire, as always, the best candidate. And even that, Skip, and you hear that when President Biden wants to name an African-American female to the Supreme Court. And what do we hear now? What about the best candidate? Oh, that's disrespectful to the rest of America. I'm old enough to remember when President Reagan said he wanted to name a woman after 200 years of only white men. It was Sandra Day O'Connor.
Yep.
When Ruth Ginsburg, Miss Ginsburg, she passed away.
Yep.
President Trump says, I want to name a woman to replace her. Amy Coney Barrett.
Yep.
Nobody said, they were commended. But now, President Biden says, I want to name a black one. Skip, okay. They say affirmative action is bad. The government said, you know what, this thing is so out here, we got to put some guidelines in so black people. Skip, so what are they going to do about legacy admission? Is that bad? What about donor admission? Is that bad?
Yeah.
You see, as long as it benefits one side, we're cool. Hey, Shannon, why you care? If we want the best candidate, why is it always seen the best candidate seems to be white?
Yep.
And that's what Brian Flores is saying. Okay, fine. If you want to, but why is it always a white guy and never us? But what they do, Skip, is that you look at Josh McDaniels. He got the head coaching job. What'd he do? He bring his white GM with him. You see how they do that? Now, Byron Leftwich tried to do the exact same thing. He tried to bring Adrian Wilson. Nah, we ain't gonna let you do that. We want to keep Trent Baalke in here. After he done ruined San Francisco, he went to Jacksonville and ruined that. Nah, we're going to keep the status quo. They're not going to let you get too many. They're not going to let you get too many.
I'll give you the reverse of that. Ryan Poles just got the GM job of the Chicago Bears, African-American. Worked 9 straight years in Kansas City with a guy named Eric Bieniemy, and they were close, I thought.
Yes.
And I was told that Andy Reid made it clear to Ryan, you make it your business to bring Eric up there at least for a legit interview.
Right.
And he did not interview.
No.
So what happens, I don't know. But that, trust me, I've heard from a lot of people, they were very discouraged that Ryan Poles wouldn't at least try to pave the way in Chicago for him to get an interview. And you know what happened?
I think
Eberflus happened.
Skip, I think sometimes is that we get a job and we like, man, I don't want to have too many of us because they're going to think a certain thing. Well, our counterparts never think like that. They never think, well, I bet I can't hire a white guy because they might think we got too many of us. That's just our thinking. That's the way we think.
Yep. Okay, so what did initially surprise me was I thought, silly me, that Brian Flores was right in the middle of maybe the Houston job, maybe at the top of the list, or maybe the New Orleans job.
Man, you ain't gonna find no black guy to hire another black guy, Skip.
David Culley gone after he did some really good things this year with Davis Mills at quarterback.
Oh, remember, Skip, they said, Cincinnati, what's the GM?
Caserio. Nick Caserio, who worked for Belichick.
No better guy could have righted the ship other than David Culley.
Yeah,
he righted the ship, Skip, and now we smooth sailing. You dump him overboard.
Okay, and the other guy, that Easterby, he also came from New England. So now that Brian has dared to go public with Belichick's texts, what shot does he have going with Caserio and Easterby? None.
But Skip, guess who's got called in for a second interview? Josh McCown. Josh McCown was coaching. Name a black guy that coaches high school football that can get an interview for it with an NFL team.
I'd like to see Deion Sanders get one. He's coaching, obviously, at Jackson State.
Man, please.
Okay. And yet, finally, there's that New Orleans opening. But I wonder how good a job that is because it's weird to me. I think Sean Payton wants to come back there after a year's sabbatical, right?
Come back to New Orleans?
Yes.
Oh, nobody.
Well, I think so. I think it's still on the table that he would come back. So is this like a one-year gig that you're doing?
I don't know, Skip. I mean, I guess if somebody who really wants to be a head coach bad enough, they would take the job for a year, hopefully do a good enough job so that if Sean Payton does come back, you know, someone said, well, hey, he did a really good job. Let me give him an opportunity elsewhere. Okay. Maybe you can hope for something like that, Skip. Skip, we know, look, that's what normally happens. Something happens. It's kind of like a situation what we see with black guys. We protest and they come up with classy cliches and catchphrases and hashtags and symbolism. And then guess what? You go right back, slowly but surely, you're right back in that same lane that you started 6 months ago before the incident happened. And I'm afraid this is a very similar situation. 4
jobs have been filled so far by 4 white guys. We have 5 left, and I was just hoping that maybe they'd be shamed into at least hiring a couple of black head coaches here.
In the Minnesota job.
Looks like it could be Jim Harbaugh. We're going to discuss that.
Come on, man.
We will get to the latest in Minnesota, and of course, we're going to continue to monitor this story. And I mentioned off the top that Flores is doing a lot of media right now. So we're going to keep monitoring. And look, he's risking his coaching career fighting.
Oh, absolutely.
Fighting for something that he shouldn't have to be fighting for, but it's clearly bigger than just Brian Flores. And that's what I keep thinking about right now, guys. No mercy. At this point, guys, we are a little over 24 hours removed from Tom Brady's official retirement announcement yesterday. The 44-year-old thanked the Bucs, his family, and his inner circle in a social media post. And despite not playing to his previous goal of 45 years old. He went on to say that he feels like, quote, the luckiest person in the world, and added, the future is exciting. So, Shannon, after having a night to sleep on it, what do you believe is the biggest reason that Tom did retire?
Family. Skip, it's hard for me to believe. 9 days after this man played a game, he played a valiant effort, almost brought his team back. He threw for the third most passing yards in NFL history, led the NFL in passing touchdowns, led the NFL in completions, had the most completions in a season in NFL history. That man just decided to abruptly walk away from the game after 9 days. Skip, this was in the making. You don't make a decision of this magnitude in 9 days. Skip, I was talking to my financial people, and they were with Shannon, I'm changing some financial people, Skip, and they said, well, how do you go about when you make a purchase? How do you go about it? I said, any big purchase, I give it a year. I want something. If I still want it after a year, I'll get it. Because, Skip, when you're spending that kind of money, that's not an impulsive buy. When you're making this kind of decision, that's not a 9-day decision. That's a year-long decision that you sat down with wife and you sat down with dad and family and says, okay, I'm thinking about hanging it up. And you and the wife, because, she takes precedent now, because I say he loves his mom. He loves it, obviously. But when you sit down with her and she says what she's been saying to you over the course of some years and how concerned she is for you and your health, because at some point in time, you're going to have to retire from football. And then what version of daddy are we getting? What version of Tommy are we getting? And I think that started to weigh on him. He said she was concerned for my health. Skip, I believe this was a family decision. I do not believe Tom Brady is injured. I believe Tom Brady wanted to play, continue to play. But I believe his desire and his family desire was greater than his desire to play. And he said, either I'm all in, and he could not juggle, Skip. He couldn't give all the family and half to football. And she's allowed him to give all to football and be on the back burner. And I think he said it's time. It's time for me to devote what they've devoted to me, Skip, their undying support, what they've devoted to me over the last 14. My son, my middle son is 12, baby girl is 9. What she's devoted since we've been together. It's time for me to give some of that back. Let me see if I can do for them what they've done for me. And so, Skip, for me, I believe this was a beginning of the season. I believe that's why they tried to get him the MVP, throwing the football, and he had the numbers that he had. It's not very many. I think Jim Brown was an MVP, Skip, his last year. I think he had 1,500 yards. He was the MVP.
Yeah, but he quit over money, and he went to Hollywood, and he wasn't even 30 years old.
He was 29.
Yeah.
And Art said one of the worst decisions of his life, said you either get back here or else. He chose else.
Okay.
I think Ken Dryden won the Stanley Cup. He won the Vezina.
Yep.
So, Skip, we see a lot of guys ride off in the sunset.
Yep.
John Elway won the Super Bowl,
He
Super Bowl
did.
MVP, rolled off. Michael Strahan won the Super Bowl, rolled off. Jerome Bettis, the bus parked in his hometown of Detroit, Michigan.
Did he?
But so he would have been the second guy that win the MVP and go out like he wanted to go out. But Skip, this is not a 9-day decision. You don't make a decision, this kind of decision, playing this well after a loss. He's had some more. Hell, he didn't retire after the Giants beat him twice. He didn't retire.
Yep.
I believe this was a year-long decision. I believe he sought down a lot last offseason talking with the wife, and they came to this decision. I believe this was a family, a 100,000 trillion% family decision, and family did something the NFL couldn't do. Beat Tom. Not in a negative sense, Skip, but I'm saying I believe that's the reason.
I got it. You well could be right about every point you just made. At this moment, I don't even feel qualified to address this question, only because it's still surreal to me, because I can't wrap my mind around what just happened, because it happened so fast and it happened so out of the blue and so unexpectedly. Just when I thought he was playing at as high a level as he'd ever played.
He was.
Just when I thought he was, by NFL standards, completely healthy. I know he's got his bumps and bruises.
Okay. Yeah, they all do.
Completely healthy. Just when I thought he was having more fun than he's ever had, that happened. So I get it from what you just said, ... but I don't get it because it's still hard for me to fathom how this man is going to be really happy watching NFL games occasionally and watching two quarterbacks and thinking to himself, I'm better than both those guys. You've made the point, he might think that 20 years from now. But still, he knows, and we know, he could still do it at the highest level. So I'm having a lot of trouble with this. And again, it's his life, it's not mine. I'm doing this from a distance. I'm just telling you how I feel about the decision he apparently just made, is that I don't think he's going to be happy with this decision, especially going into next year. I don't think he can remotely scratch the itch of this in any other endeavor, in TB12 or his clothing line or whatever it is, whatever board meeting, whatever economic competition he's involved in. It won't do it. He's never been anything but an occasional golfer, so he doesn't have the obsession your big brother has that I have to a certain degree. No. But now I got to get a little more personal because I'm going to bring my wife Ernestine into play. Right. And if you think I'm opinionated, you ought to check her out because she often shuts me down at home. So she's been shutting me down on this point that we're talking about family. And she gets irate about it because she says, you guys, she's talking to both of us because she watches. She says, you guys are blaming his family, and it's not fair to his family. You're vilifying the family. It's coming across to her that way via television. When don't make them the reason for it in a bad way where, they finally said, you can't do this anymore, because it's making them, it's demonizing them, like, he finally had to give up and give in to his family obligations, right? No,
I just think the family's pull was greater.
And you can also argue the other side of that, which I do to her. Maybe he just said it's time for me to do this, and I want to do this because this will make me happy to be more a part of their lives.
That's what he said, Skip. It's time for him to give them the support that they've given him.
But Ernestine always says, come on, you got to grow up and wise up here a little bit, because he's always done exactly what he wanted to do. And do you really think this is different this time? Well, apparently it is. How else can we explain? Right. So I'm going to tell you, because I sleep on this by not sleeping on it, because I have lost sleep over this. I'm going to throw out a couple of things. I get this from friends of his, pretty close friends, that he did get discouraged at times over, remember what Levante David said right after they lost? He said, we did have some internal issues this year that we did not face a year ago. We had a little locker room dissension. I don't know exactly what it was. But is it possible, this is from several friends of his, the AB meltdown, it shook up Tom because he tried so hard to make AB right, to show him we can do this together, and you can really succeed at the highest level, but you got to kind of keep it between the lines here a little bit. And then and I know he just lost it. Right. Does he need counseling? I don't know. But for whatever reason, he just melted down at Jets, and it shook up Tom. Because remember, we saw Tom walk over to the bench as he was beginning to melt down and lean over and talk to him. And I was told by somebody very close to AB that Tom said, what's up? And AB said, so Gronk's your boy again now. And he wasn't getting enough targets in the first half, and here we went, right? Right, correct. Is it possible that these incidents added up to where Tom finally said, you know what, I'm too old for this, you know what, right? And if they did have other internal issues, maybe at some point he just said, okay, I live and die for this to a fault. Maybe it's just time for me to go on, because I can't find enough guys who can measure up to my obsession with this. Right, but Skip, you're never going to find anybody that measure up to him. He was obsessed beyond obsessed. It's hard for me to believe. Now, I believe that the thing is different in New England is that because Coach Belichick ran everything with an iron fist, but it's still hard for me to believe, Skip, that there were at some point in time some dissension. Everybody wasn't on the Patriot way train, and there had to be some conflict in the locker room that Brady and the other leaders had to smooth over. Skip, when we say family, I don't want people to think that, and I get what Ernestine is saying, so now you're blaming his wife. No, I'm saying that what he said is that it's time for me. Got you. I'm defending you on this, and I defended you to her and me to her on this. But Skip, he said it. He said it's time for me to give them the support that they've given me. I got it. He said that. Okay, I'll throw out one other, who knows, long shot possibility here.
Okay.
I'm getting this from friends as just a suggestion, just pure speculation, but intriguing to me. Is it possible Tom Brady has political aspirations and he's thinking 44, I got to start. I got to get on the trail a little bit here. And I'm talking about big aspirations because this has been brought up many times before. I'm talking about POTUS aspirations, as in President of the United States.
Wow.
Well, if you do have those, then you should go full tilt into that sooner than later.
Let's get rid of it. It's still been there. You can still have those aspirations after next year.
Okay, but that's the one that would scratch the competitive itch. If you really want to obsess on something and that's in your heart that you want to do this.
You can't control that, Skip. He can control the outcome of the game because he's actually in the game. Presidency is about likability.
Yeah, well.
And there are certain segments of the country that's not going to like Tom Brady.
I totally agree with you. So there are certain segments that would love it.
Right.
Yeah.
But Skip, when you play the game, and see, that's what he loves. That's why you play quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I control all the pieces. Whatever the best piece on the chessboard is, I'm it.
Okay, but his biggest piece, his most valuable piece to me, was number 81, and he couldn't control him in the end because he flipped out.
Skip, I'm sure Tom would have loved to have that situation work. But knowing Tom, knowing how these supreme athletes think, LeBron, Jordan, I don't give a damn who you give me Skip Bayless. Put Skip Bayless in the helmet and shoulder pads and give me a couple of days to let him go over the plays and I get him right. I'll coach him up to speed.
Attitude all along.
That's his attitude.
That's why, remember, he took Cyril Grayson, he took Bashad Perriman, and then both of them come up lame with pulled hamstrings and couldn't play the last 3 games.
He tell him, hey, put the man in there. I trust him. He'll make a play for me.
Mm-hmm.
The guy was a track guy. Been on 8. How many teams you said he been on 8 teams?
I think it was 8, 9.
Okay. And Tom Brady in an important ball game, he throws the ball to him. So in Tom's mind,
he didn't just throw it. It was a walk-off, man.
So in his mind, he believes he can make it work with anybody.
He did. And he threw a walk-off to Perriman against Buffalo, right?
Yes. It's disappointing, Skip, when you stick your neck out for someone and they kind of stab you in the back with some of the things that they've said and how they behaved. Yes, I'm sure he was hurt. I'm sure he was disappointed. But knowing Tom and the confidence that he has in his ability, he believed he can take anybody. He believed he could have got a guy in the stand. He wished he'd have thrown his pants up in the stands and somebody would put him on and they'd put him in the game and he'd say, well, watch me. Hey, go down here and run an out route. And he'd throw him the ball. That's how Tom Brady thinks. Tom Brady believes he's that good that he can take an average guy and make him good. He can make a good guy and make him great. A great guy, he can turn him into a Hall of Fame.
What I used to tell you, he'd walk out, an hour before kickoff, and he'd say, you, and you. Could you please come to 3 guys from Southie or something, right? And
Charlestown.
You fit them up. Put some helmet
pads and cleats on them, and let's go to work.
Let's go.
That's what he believed. But Skip, I think we both agree on this. This was not a 9-day decision.
It can't be. He doesn't operate that
way.
He is as calculated as you get.
A man that spent that has spent his entire life controlling every narrative, every step, when he's going to leave, everything down to the second of where he's going to go, to the punctuation of what he's going to say.
Absolutely agree.
And this man going to make a decision like this in 9 days?
Yeah, no.
And remember, Skip, when all this came out, when his Don Yee said, I'm not going to get into the accuracy, the inaccuracy, his dad said he hadn't made a decision, Jason Light, Bruce Arians, Tom Brady even said, I haven't made up my mind. And in 12 hours, you done made up your mind. That ain't Tom Brady.
Nope.
Tom Brady had already had his mind made up, Skip, I believe. We just didn't know it. We started to get a glimpse because we had never heard Tom Brady talk like he talked after the Rams game. And then he came out on that podcast and started talking about satisfied. And I came out and said, Skip, when last time you ever heard Tom Brady say satisfied?
When have you ever heard him talk past tense?
Yes, everything was in past tense.
Yeah.
So he started talking after the Rams game. I'm like, well, damn, Tom. You do realize, like, okay, you got another season. And he's thinking, but I don't. And I think, Skip, that's why it really dawned. That's when it really dawned on him. Like, man, there's finale. And we talked about this, Skip. And there's senior. If you play tennis, you go on senior circuit bowling. There ain't no senior circuit in football. It's it. It's over.
And to those who wonder, would Brady come back the way Jordan came back?
No.
I do not see it because, remember, Jordan
Jordan was in his 20s when he retired the first time.
Well, then the second, remember the second retirement,
Right.
the 3-year retirement,
Right.
he was 35.
Right, Skip, he was still, so he's 9 years younger than what Brady is now. Even when he retired for the third and final time,
Right.
he's 4 years younger than what Brady is now.
And remember, after the Last Dance season in '98, the only reason he quit was on principle because they fired his coach, or
Right.
they pushed his coach
Right.
out for Tim Floyd.
Yes.
So Jordan didn't quit because he needed to spend time with his family.
Right.
He quit over a principle.
Rest.
Okay? So 3 years later, he said, you know what? I love that owner in Washington. We're close, and he's going to let me run the whole franchise and run the draft. Well, I'll go be the GM, the coach, and a player for that team for 2 years. I told you it's like ceremonial. He averaged 20 and 6.
Right, which is okay, but like you said, he wasn't as devoted.
No.
There was no Tim Grover 5 a.m. workout session. There was no maniacal training and all that for Washington.
But Tom Brady is too calculated.
Yeah.
He decided this was the end, and it's going to be the end.
Right.
I do not see him waking up in October next year when a quarterback gets hurt and somebody calls him and saying, you know what?
Right.
I think I'll go play for them.
I totally agree. I totally agree. The thing that I'm puzzled with, when did he come to this decision? I just know it wasn't 9 days ago. Was it the offseason? Was it after the first game? When was that moment that Tom Brady says, you know what? This is going to be my 22nd and final season in the NFL?
Yeah. You got to know he's been thinking about this.
We may never know.
We may never know, but we just know it wasn't 9 days ago.
No, and gosh, boy, his family. I'm happy that he does get this family time, though. I really am happy for all of them. He does leave behind an incredible legacy, retiring with more Super Bowl wins than any other entire NFL franchise. Every time I say it, I can't believe it. 5 of those games, he was named Super Bowl MVP to go along with 3 regular season MVPs and making 2 separate all-decade teams. So, Shannon, how difficult will it be for any of today's quarterbacks to even come close to what Brady achieved?
I just don't see it happening. Skip, I just see so many good young quarterbacks. I thought Mahomes had a chance. Had he gotten to the Super Bowl and won this, he'd have kind of been on that Brady trajectory. I don't think people realize that in Brady's first 5 years, he was 9-0 in the playoffs with 3 Super Bowls and 2 Super Bowl MVPs. That's what he's up against. Now, he was in a division that most of the time you win your division, you get home games. You're going against Miami. They couldn't find a quarterback. Marino had retired in 99. Jim Kelly had retired in I think, 98. And so they were looking for a quarterback in the Jets. They were going with Chad Pennington and all over the place. So he felt if they got to 12-4, 13-3, Skip, they were going to have home field. They're going to bring you there. Okay. So you get off to that great start in your first 5 years, and then Skip, he had like a decade run where he didn't win any Super Bowls. It was even tough for him to get back to the Super Bowl because you had Manning. All of a sudden, Manning went out. You know, they were out. They're no longer in the same division, but they're still in the same conference. And you got Big Ben, got a little better. And so now it was even tougher for him not only to get to the Super Bowl, but win the Super Bowl, but just get there because of Manning stopped him 3 times. Roethlisberger had gotten better. Flacco, even though he was a terrible regular season quarterback, come playoff time, Joe was as clutch, as big time as we've ever seen.
Ever. I mean, I'll put his playoff numbers against anybody.
Exactly. Elway, Marino had retired. Favre was not the same guy anymore. And so, Skip, I just don't see it. You got Mahomes, but you got Burrow and Herbert in the AFC and Josh Allen. I don't know if we've seen that level of quarterback that young. Skip, all these guys are under 26. It's not like one of them. It's not like when Brady and Manning, they're in their 30s, and then there's another 22-year-old. Skip, all these guys are under 26. They're in the same conference. We just saw Patrick Mahomes have to beat Josh Allen last year. Got knocked off by Joe Burrow this year. So it's not easy, and he got knocked off. Now Manning is gone. Brady is gone now. I just feel... I think the thing is that we took for granted what Tom Brady was actually doing when he was doing it. Because now when we look back at it, there were very few times that he lost games like Patrick Mahomes lost. And if he got the ball in overtime, you never saw it. Because before the rules became you had to score a touchdown, he was always going to get his team in field goal range, and Vinatieri or Gostkowski was going to knock it through, and oh well. Yep. And if you needed a touchdown, he was going to get the touchdown. Skip, I just don't see it. I think Aaron Rodgers I've given Aaron Rodgers a decade. to challenge Tom Brady for the GOAT status. Like giving him a decade. He has the individual accolades, but at some point in time, you got to get your team.
Yep.
And that's what Tom Brady was able to get his team in situations you're like, huh? 10 points? Tom Brady needs 10, Tom Brady gonna get 13. Tom Brady needs 14, he gonna get you 17. That's what normally happens with him. So, Skip, I just don't see it. Honestly, I just don't see it. I've racked my brain when I found out this was gonna be a topic, and I just thought, okay, can Mahomes do it? I thought Mahomes had an outside chance. I didn't think he'd get to 7, but I say, you know what? He can make us have a serious discussion about this, because here's the guy in his 3rd Super Bowl, in his 4th year of starting, with a chance to win it. So he 3 Super Bowl appearances, 4 years starting, winning 2 of them, 2 Super Bowl MVPs. Okay, we got to have a discussion. We can see where this thing goes, Skip. He's still got another 12 years, but Skip, I just don't see it. I just think these guys are going to they're just going to pick each other off. Skip, it's kind of like, let's just say for the sake of argument, if Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic didn't cross each other, how many slams would they have? They would have 35. But they played each other and they chopped each other up, and Nadal got 20, and the other 21, the other 2 got 20. Yep. But how many? You got Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, Pete Sampras, and they're the same age. At least Federer is older. Federer is 41, and you got Nadal 36, and you got Joker at 32. So there's a gap. Skip, all these guys are like 23, 24, 25, 26. I don't see it. I've tried to rack my mind. I just don't see it. I don't.
Yeah. If I can continue your tennis analogy, you can look at Serena's career and say, oh, she just didn't really face high-level competition. You know what? She did, but she was one of one.
Yes.
She destroyed them.
Yes.
Both psychologically and physically,
yes.
She laid waste to the whole lot of them.
Yes.
However deep it went, she just said, you. And now we look back and say, they weren't anything. Well, she made them look like nothing.
Yeah, they would have been a lot better had she not been there.
That's correct. So I can't let you quite get away with this because you're betting on the come. I love all the young quarterbacks. Yeah. I love Joe Burrow. I don't know yet. They have to prove it. They're going to have chances. They might pick each other off because they're all sort of the same. Right. They're all just pretty good, and they're going to beat each other up, and nobody's going to stand tall because they can't. Right. Nobody's going to be good enough because Tom Brady was one of one.
Yes.
He was so rare that he was unique.
Right.
He was something we've never seen in leadership and big game clutch intangibles. That's what separated him from the pack.
What's the likelihood of they have the same coach? Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Herbert, all have the same coach for 20 years, like Tom Brady. All have
Mahomes is in a pretty sweet spot.
He's in a great spot. Yeah. So he's had Andy for 5 years. So he's going to need Andy for 15 more years. You feel comfortable saying Andy's going to be? I don't think so either. Okay, what about ownership? The owner that Mr. Kraft said.
All this plays, it does. It all contributes to your situation.
Yes.
It's a lot of times situations. It's why coaches come and go. It's because, do you have a quarterback or you don't have a quarterback? Don't. Okay. I'm just going to remind you that Brady has faced in his era. When I look at the top 10 in all-time passing yards, well, he's at the top, but as you well know, Drew Brees is second. These are all contemporaries of Tom Brady that he had to overcome at different points.
Right.
Peyton was obviously third. He had trouble with Peyton.
Yes.
Peyton was kind of a nemesis for him, right? Who's fourth on that list? Brett Favre. He did face Favre a couple of times. Favre was actually the Jets quarterback the year Tom was gone when he tore his ACL.
Yes.
So that didn't work. But, okay, let's go down the list. Roethlisberger, number 5 overall on the all-time list. So he had to deal with Big Ben, and he had to deal with Phillip Rivers, who is 6th on that list. We'll skip down to 8th. He definitely had to face Matt Ryan, who's 8th overall on that list. Okay, and he was down 28-3 to Matt Ryan. You know the rest of that story. Number 9 on the all-time passing list is Eli Manning. Well, you're talking about kryptonite. Okay, there's kryptonite. That's number 9. And then we go down to number 10 on the list. Well, that's Aaron Rodgers. Well, he did go up there last year, and he beat him in his own house at his own game, right? Okay, so I just gave you 9 of the top 10 that he had to face. And you mentioned Joe Flacco, and I'll also throw in Russell Wilson, who's not on the all-time list yet. He may get there at some point. But you want to talk about proven, decorated quarterbacks?
But a lot of those guys he faced on the other side, Imagine, you're going to have to get through the Super Bowl. You're going to have to go through one of them. Like he was having to go through the Super Bowl. And like you said, Peyton,
yeah.
it became, so just think if there was no Peyton, dude going to go to Skip. That's another 3 Super Bowls he's going to be in because Peyton beat him in the championship game. So that's another 3 Super Bowls he's about to be in.
Well, Peyton beat him
3 times, twice in Denver and once in the Indy.
In championship games.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So that's another 3. So that's 13 Super Bowl appearances.
Okay. All right, but let's not discount this group.
No.
And by the way, I didn't name the one quarterback he faced in his first Super Bowl. Kurt Warner's Hall of Famer, so I'll throw him on top of the list. Not all-time passing yardage, but he just had a movie made about his life, so he's pretty good.
Yes. No, Skip. I just think the thing is that Tom had the perfect storm. And it's funny that the movie happened like in Boston, The Perfect Storm, the movie. Mark Wahlberg did a great job in it. Is that he had the perfect storm. He had a coach that was there for 2 decades.
He did.
He had ownership that stayed out of the way. They got no TV show. They got no radio show. They wanted and Mr. Kraft goes out of his way. He said, no. This is not about me. This is about the players and coaches. I know a guy that if they said about him, he's like, yeah, I did a good job. You see the talent that I accumulated? It's not about the players and coaches. I ain't gonna tell you. Your guy. But anyway, because your guy could have been the New England Patriots before the New England Patriots were the New England Patriots.
Which guy are we talking about?
Jerry Jones.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah,
okay.
The Cowboys could have been the Patriots before the Patriots because they won their 3rd Super Bowl. Emmitt Smith probably was about 26. Troy Aikman was probably 27. Michael Irvin was 27.
They were. Yep.
But he blew it all up because of why? Mr. Kraft has swallowed pride after pride after pride. I'm sure he and Coach Belichick has butted heads. But 6 Super Bowls in 20 years is hard to... hold on, 6 is... so 6 plus another 3 they lost. So 9 appearances in 20 years with 6 wins. I'm going to stand back and keep my mouth shut.
Did Robert Kraft or his son ever name themselves the general manager?
No,
they did not.
No.
Do they do radio shows?
No, they don't do anything. Mr. Kraft don't do it. He's a behind the scenes. He's a powerful man without letting you know he's powerful. Very seldom does he speak. He's a very engaging man. I like him. Been around him a little bit. Yep. I like him. He and you could understand. But so Skip. That's the thing. He had the perfect storm. Now I'm not taking anything away from him. Tom still did what he did, but it's a lot easier, Skip, when there's not the bickering. The head coach and the owner and the general manager and the head coach, the head coach and the quarterback. Everything was in unison for the better part 15, 16 years. Now, we knew how it ultimately unraveled because you believe there were more Super Bowls to be won had Coach Belichick kept Tom Brady in that situation. And it's hard to argue considering that he went somewhere after 1 year and he got one.
Let's not underestimate what an imperfect storm it sometimes became because Belichick was as old school as you can get.
Yeah.
And he got away with coaching old school with tearing players apart verbally on practice field and in meetings because Tom was his locker room buffer. So Tom had to sometimes overcome the internal sort of rebellion against Belichick's tyrannical coaching ways. I think it was very difficult to play for Bill Belichick, and I think it was difficult for Tom Brady to play for Bill Belichick.
But Skip, you know this. Once a coach wins a Super Bowl, it's hard for the players to ever be right.
Yeah.
I mean, once you win 1, you win 2, you win 3.
Yeah, I agree.
How you gonna argue with 4? 5? 6?
Yep.
You just come in there and put your hat on the wall and you just go to work.
But Belichick was all about my system transcends any cog in the system. So it often felt like he didn't even care who the cogs were.
Right.
He had that Brady mentality of I'll just take anybody. As long as they'll do it my way,
right.
I don't care how talented they are. If I got them in the 7th round, it doesn't matter to me.
But he's finding out that's not the case.
He's getting exposed now.
Skip, of course. What coach doesn't believe it's his system?
Yep.
Andy Reid's system didn't look like this when Donovan, no disrespect to Donovan, it didn't look like it did when Patrick Mahomes running it.
It did not.
When Alex Smith ran that exact same offense, it didn't look like that.
I'll buy that.
So for this notion, and the West Coast system, Kyle Shanahan, that's the West Coast system. It don't look like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Okay, so you know how much I love Joe Burrow, but I'm betting on the come because I see that's about as close to Brady as I can get right now from what I see left.
But it's Cincinnati.
He's about to play in his first Super Bowl, and I don't trust his owner. His owner's been a mom and pop. He's very cheap. chip off his dad's block.
Hold on. You think he gonna pay Joe Burrow $300 million? Because that's probably gonna be the going rate by the time Joe Burrow is able to get a deal, Skip.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be $300 million.
Okay, so my point is, Joe Burrow is about to play in his first Super Bowl. Wait, Tom Brady played in 10.
Yes.
He won 7.
Yes.
He could have won a couple more.
Yes.
What? Well, forget about it.
The only guy that had a chance, Skip, remember we talked about Mahomes, because in his first 5 years, he had gone to 3 and won 2 Super Bowl MVPs. So Patrick Mahomes was the only. So we get Joe Burrow in the next 3 years, you got to get at least 2 more Super Bowls and win them.
Last quick point about Patrick Mahomes. I dare you, anybody out there, to go look up Patrick Mahomes' numbers in the Super Bowl that he won when he threw 2 interceptions. The Super Bowl he lost to Brady. Look at his numbers, and then look at his numbers in the second half the other day. I'm just not sold yet. I get it. He's MVP quality caliber. He can be spectacular. Is he that guy? Does he have Brady-esque intangibles? I haven't seen that on a consistent basis.
He's going to more so wow you with his ability to make plays outside of the pocket.
I agree.
Brady's going to be a guy that's going to wow you more so inside the pocket. He's going to it's systematic. Skip, it's just like you're building a car. Everything is it's an assembly line. He's an assembly line.
But it's pure leadership where everybody's going to follow him. And I'm not sure Patrick has become that guy yet. We'll see.
Coach Belichick, I mean, I don't think either guy, Coach Belichick, we take for granted him, and we definitely took Tom Brady for granted. But you're going to find out over the next decade when you find a different guy winning the Super Bowl damn near every year. You're like, well, hold on, Tom Brady was winning 3 and 4 years. Tom Brady went to 5 in like 6 years, 7 years.
Makes it look easy. And we all know it's not easy. And geez, Shannon, you know, you went to 3, and it's like crazy to think about just how impressive that is. No mercy. Former Dolphins head coach Brian Flores has filed a class action lawsuit against the NFL and several teams alleging discrimination in hiring processes across the league. And in an interview just this morning, Flores said, quote, "It's hard to speak out, but this is bigger than football. This is bigger than coaching." So Shannon, will Brian Flores ever get another NFL head coaching job?
I just can't see it, Skip. It's just hard, and I get it that he's standing up to the very people that he's going to want to come back and work for. So the people at home, if someone sues you, you going to give them a job if you're in position to? Probably not. That's just how it works, Skip.
Yep.
And so I understand that what he's doing is for the greater good. He's willing to sacrifice himself, his ability to potentially coach in the National Football League ever again, being hopeful to bring about change. I don't really know how much change, because how do you change a person's heart? How? You know, the old saying is, Skip, it's easier to build strong children as a pair of broken men. These men are 50, 60, 70 years old. They have their thoughts. They're set in their ways. They're not changing. So I just don't know. And I commend him for what he's doing. It took a lot of courage to do that, Skip. Not everybody else is going to, I mean, there are very few people that's willing to sacrifice oneself for the greater cause. It seems to me that's what he's done. He's put his own coaching career on the line so other minorities that comes after him will get a better chance, a fair chance, a better shake than what he believes he and other minorities got. So, Skip, I just don't, it's just hard for me to see a scenario that he gets a job after the course of action in which he's taken.
Once again, I fear you're right. I hope you're wrong. I'd like to think this is so courageous, and he is such a powerhouse. In the interviews, I watched the one on CBS this morning. I think he's going to do kind of a media tour. He's so powerfully spoken that I hope there's a groundswell of support from outside and also inside. I just hope.
Not from the owners.
Not owners. I'm talking about other black coaching candidates or assistants or former coaches. If all of a sudden they sort of band together, I don't even know how you do this, but we need a collaboration of everybody banding together and saying we support Brian Flores.
Oh yeah, you sign on to the class action lawsuit.
Yes,
that's how you do it. Yeah,
and you need to do so publicly. You need to co-sign publicly just with your statements.
Yeah,
and yet I'm going to remind everybody what he just did. he took on Bill Belichick. He took on your man, John Elway. He took on Stephen Ross, his former owner, who fired him with the Dolphins. And he didn't just take them on. He went all out and all in on this one because he exposed text messages from Belichick mixing up Brian's and thinking he was texting Brian Daboll, congratulating him on the job, when in fact he was texting Brian Flores, who had just landed and was excited, thinking Belichick saying, congratulations, you got the job. No, wait a second.
I interview on
Coach.
Thursday.
Wait, I haven't interviewed yet. Wait, Coach, are you sure you're not texting Brian Daboll? Because this is Brian Flores. Oh, Belichick's busted. I effed up. I'm so sorry. Well, you know and I know, then Belichick went right back to whoever he knows. He probably knows.
He knows John Mara. Yeah, he knows both of them, yes. Absolutely.
You know, there's an immediate phone call. Whoops. I let the cat out of the bag. I'm sorry, but we're busted on this one.
Yeah.
So, of course, they went into that interview 3 days later, full force, 3 hours.
They got stenographer there. They're taking notes.
I like
so
that.
How would you do that?
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. Because remember, I used to tell me and my brother do something.
Yeah.
We got to get our stories together. Now, we can't have, he tell Granny one thing, I tell Granny something else. So let's get our lie together. So Coach Belichick had to call them up. Okay, let's get our stories together.
Okay, so 4 jobs are filled by 4 white guys. 5 jobs are still open.
Correct.
And I'm looking at potential candidates, and I'm thinking, you know, Raheem Morse is supposed to be in the thick of the Minnesota job.
Right.
And obviously he has done a sensational job, and he was a head coach, and he's admitted I was a little young, and people I know in the league say...
When they fired John Gruden in Tampa, he took over.
He took over.
Right.
And... yet he's coached on both sides of the ball. He knows both. And I think he's a natural-born leader.
He is.
Yeah.
He is.
And yet he still was acting and sort of thinking more like a player because he wanted to be a player's coach, and he was too much of a player and didn't command the team in Tampa. He also had Josh Freeman, a quarterback who I loved coming out of college, but he ended up having some issues. And so it blew up. Would I give him a shot? You better believe I would. So my question to you is, to save Brian Flores' future in this league, would Raheem stand up right now for Brian and risk maybe, whoops, you know, will I look bad standing up for Brian after he took on Belichick and Elway and Stephen Ross?
Well, what happens, Skip? What happens when the owner said, nah, you can't hire him? Then what? Are you going to sacrifice your head coaching job just so you can hire somebody else?
Yeah, good question. Okay.
Because we get that a lot. Well, can you hire this guy? Or can you hire? That's what they help you fill out your staff.
Yep.
Oh, Brian, you hired me. Let me do this.
Okay, so I'm told if Rick Spielman happens to land in Jacksonville, if they let go Trent Baalke because he was aligned, obviously, with Urban, if Rick Spielman goes there, he's a big fan of Jim Caldwell. Will he come into play as the potential Jacksonville coach? We've heard, obviously, about Byron Leftwich being in the mix there. Well, all these guys are in position to maybe get a job. And my question to you is, would they then have the guts to support publicly or join the lawsuit? Because if you do, you're asking for the same fate that Brian Flores.
Well, I'm going to get the job first.
Wouldn't you?
I'm going to get the job first, and then I was put my name on the lawsuit.
Okay, all right. Well, you could argue that Brian Flores should have just stayed the course and hoped he could get a job and he could do more good for the league in a job than suing the league.
That's what's so surprising about this, Skip, is because there's still vacancies out there in which he could possibly fill one of those vacancies.
Yep.
Skip, he had to be fed up to here. Not to here, up to here with the process. And I think, Skip, and you're right. I believe it was that text message from Coach Belichick. And I've been going on all these damn interviews, and this thing ain't even for real.
Yep. And also, I got to bring up your man, John Elway.
Yes.
High respect, high regard, but this is back in 2017.
Right.
He had a sit-down planned with them in Providence, Rhode Island, 7:30 in the morning. And he said they showed up, the whole group, and they'd been out into the wee hours and maybe had a couple drinks and looked a little disheveled, according to him. So
let me address that.
All right.
Obviously, I know John Elway. I've known him. He was my quarterback for 9 years. I know Joe Ellis. He's in charge of the Bowling Trust, and we found out yesterday they're going to be selling the team.
Yep.
So I've known Joe Ellis probably 20, 25 years. I hope that wasn't the case. I hope they went in Skip, I'm not upset about being late because everybody's been late. I mean, we've all had to reschedule things because we were so late.
They said they weren't late, but go ahead.
But okay, I'm gonna say Brian Flores is telling the truth. They're late. That's not an offensive that had anything to do with you or your color. Because people be late, that was an accident, and if it was, hopefully they apologize. If they were late, they say they weren't late. I just hope the men that I know didn't conduct themselves in the manner in which he's saying.
Yep.
That's what I can speak to that. Like I said, I know I've never had to go before John and try to get a job. I've never had to go before Joe Ellis and get a job because John, even though he was a better player than I was, we were equal because we were teammates. He was a player, I was a player. By the time Joe had taken over the team, I was long gone, Skip. But he was there. He was around the team, so I know him. And I just hope that they conducted themselves better than that, because I know Mr. Bolin would have never conducted himself like that. So I just hope what he's saying, the lateness, the tardiness, I'm okay. But hopefully they were more professional than what Brian Flores is saying.
Okay, I'll sum this up with some thoughts I got last night from a man you know very well, also John Wooten.
Yep.
I've known him for 50 years. He ran the Fritz Pollard Alliance for years and years and oversaw the Rooney Rule. He was right in the middle of the foundation and formation of the Rooney Rule in 2003.
And the Rooney Rule came effect because Johnny Cochran threatened to sue the NFL.
He did.
So let's not see like the Rooney Rule came to be because the NFL said, "Oh man, we doing the wrong thing." No, it normally takes in order for change. Somebody got to threaten to sue your butt.
That is correct. So here's the great irony of this. In 2003, I believe it's the first year. Yeah. So Art Rooney was then running the Steelers, and his father was gone, obviously, who was Dan. Art was the father.
Art was the dad.
Yeah, Dan was running.
Yes.
Okay. So it was named for the father, the Rooney Rule. And ironically, we now have one last remaining black head coach in this league. And it came from the Rooneys, whose name is on the rule.
Right.
And John said that he put in a call to Dan and said, "Hey, there's this young coach up in Minnesota.
Right.
And would you please just sit and chat with him and see what you think?" So Dan respected John enough to think, okay, I'll give this a shot. And he did. He flew his private plane up to Minneapolis and sat with that guy, Mike Tomlin.
That was his first year as defensive coordinator.
It was.
He was a defensive back coach in Tampa.
He was under Tony, right?
Yes.
Tony Dungy. And Art was so taken by him, he then flew him and his wife down to Pittsburgh to meet with him and his wife.
Yes.
And the rest is Pittsburgh Steelers.
You see what happened when you go with open minds?
Okay, I got it. But those two, the Rooney's name is ironically on the rule. So now we have 32 teams, one black head coach left standing, and it's because the Rooneys did it.
Yes.
And John's quote to me last night was, "We wanted to create in 2003 something that we could all live with, as opposed to having to take this to court." That was the whole foundation for the Rooney Rule.
Thank you.
We can live with this because at least if you get interviews, maybe we get black head coaches' names out there in public.
Because before this, Skip, they weren't even getting in the room.
No, couldn't get in the room. So I always loved the Rooney Rule only because it forced the owners to sit down, even if it's a sham, even though it's a token interview.
Yes.
Most of them were, many of them were.
Yes.
Every once in a while, they clicked.
Right.
And if they didn't click then, the black candidate's name got in the paper, it got on the internet, and people started thinking, maybe if they interviewed him, I should take a look.
But here's the thing. But then what happens, you keep getting these interviews and you keep getting passed over, a la Eric Bieniemy.
I've seen
He's had interview after interview after interview. Well, damn, what's he doing wrong?
It's after a while, you become sort of damaged goods.
Right. There's like,
yeah.
I'm just trying to, you asking me, okay, what's my offensive philosophy? What's my defensive philosophy?
Yep.
And you give them a couple of coaches that you have in mind that you like to hire, your practice schedule, your meeting schedule. Skip, I mean, it can't be that hard, is it?
So we hit a high of 8 black coaches in 2018, not that long ago, 4 years ago. And so at that point, when I would talk to John Wooten, he'd be ecstatic, like, it's working.
Right. And they don't normally get the Zach Taylor treatment.
No.
Zach Taylor, he did what he did, and then he goes he gets the number 1 pick. They go 4-12, and Paul Brown stuck with him.
He did?
Sure.
Well, I mean, oh man, you got to go. You went 79. You got to go. You got to get up out of here.
No mercy.
Well, here's the latest, guys. LeBron has missed 3 straight games with knee swelling. And according to Frank Vogel, there's legitimate concern around the King as the coach remains in constant communication with the medical staff about the injury. But one anonymous Lakers staffer has an even bleaker output, saying, quote, "Every day LeBron is out, we sink." So, Shannon, LeBron is doubtful to play tonight against the Blazers. Is this knee injury a big deal or no big deal? What do you got?
Yeah, remember you the other day, you key, like, oh, my knee. Oh, now look, now you.
I guess it's.
Yeah, now you want.
Well, you agreed with me. You
wanna-
thought he was load managing for the game at GOAT.
We don't do no low management.
Okay.
We too late in our career to be low manager. We try to get all the games we possibly can. Skip, I expect him back sooner rather than later. I understand the outlook is not great. For the simple fact, Skip, if you were the first or second or third seed, you'd be fine. If you missed 3 or 4 games, Skip, you're the 9th seed. The last thing that you could afford to have is him miss games, and you're already in the back. You're already in the play-in tournament.
Well, tonight's like a play-in preview between Portland and the Lakers. You believe in that?
Exactly. I mean, they're 5 games clear of being out of the play-in game, but that's where they are. Skip, I've been telling you this. That this is where they are. And even when they had AD and LeBron and Russ, I'm like, okay, it's not like they're going to be a 2 or 3 seed. And LeBron being away, I expect him. I'm hopeful he's back on Saturday because I plan on attending the game. So for selfish reasons, I wanted to be there.
Well, you've been going out a lot.
Yeah.
What's happened to you? You've come out of hiding.
I have, you know, I need to witness this because I already know one guy already retired. So what if he just like all of a sudden say, I'm done? And I'd have missed another opportunity. I could have saw this man play. I don't want to miss out on that.
Are you thinking he might be done?
No, not before 40,000, 10 and 10. He ain't done.
Okay.
So, Skip, look, I just think the thing is be overly cautious in this situation. But I'm surprised because I didn't see, like, the last game, I didn't see anything that would cause me to be concerned. I guess he just woke up. It was a little painful, and it started to swell, and here we are. But I can understand the level of concern that they have, considering they're in the 9th spot, and you're not going anywhere without LeBron James.
So, are you still saying no big deal?
Little deal.
It's like a medium deal?
Little deal.
Okay.
Little kid's meal.
That's all?
Yeah, the kid meal. Yeah, I ain't supersizing nothing.
Okay. So here's what I know about knee injuries. You've had a couple.
I have.
I've had a bunch. I've had 3 surgeries, just scopes, medial meniscus. But I know this. When your knee swells, you got problems. Your knees have swelled and you've had to get them drained.
I'll bump into the corner of the bed right now. I'm going to have to get it drained tomorrow.
Okay? Vogel's quote is, as long as there's swelling, ... he's going to be out.
Right.
Swelling? Okay, so now to your point, has LeBron ever had knee issues that we're aware of?
No,
I don't think so.
No.
He's been very blessed. I've called him Iron Man before. Now he's getting those little knick-knack year 19, year 18, year 17 kind of injuries.
Right.
Which is, he's mortal. We know that. He plays immortal basketball. He's having the greatest year 19 year we've ever seen.
Right.
But he's played the 4th most minutes in the league on average.
Right.
He's second in scoring. He's pouring it on. What's he got? I've lost track of how many games, 30s and 20. He's had 25 or more points for, 17
Yeah,
games?
yeah, long time.
All right.
Long time.
So this is mysterious to me, and I'm trying to make 2 + 2 = 4. But to your point, the last game he played was at Nets, and then he had 2 days, and then he wakes up in Philadelphia 2 days later on Thursday and just suddenly woke up with a swollen knee.
Right.
That's weird. That doesn't usually happen.
Right.
Usually it requires a little trauma.
Right, correct.
Something happened.
Yeah.
Did they practice on Wednesday? I'm going to doubt it.
Right.
Did he shoot around?
Right.
Did he tweak it? Did he accidentally stumble on it? Okay, so let's go back to, remember he had back-to-back steals at Nets?
Right.
And then took off and showcased a couple of big dunks. Let's see what they look like and see if you see him tweak anything here. Or either of these plays.
Shoot the gap.
There he goes. All right. Is there any danger here? I don't think so. He looks like he's running fine back on court. Then 10 seconds later.
Somebody missed it, Skip. Somebody was getting popcorn, and so they didn't see the first steal. Okay. He said, well, here you go. I got another one on you.
Okay. See any danger? See anything risky there?
It's over.
Okay. All right. And did he hurt it there? I don't know. That could hurt it, right? Sometimes you come down like that and you land wrong and you hurt it. Okay. Late in the game. He's still in the game as usual. And he scores the last basket. If we could see the last basket he scored in the game, and just tell me if you see anything
this the steals
that looks threatening here.
This the steals.
Oh no, that's the steal. Is this the last play? I think this is the last play.
The second.
No, here we go. No, there it is. Here's the last play, and it's another breakaway. Austin Reeves, AR-15. Do you see anything?
I don't.
Does he look like he's running fine? He does. This is the last play of the Nets game for him, last basket. Okay? So,
I
don't see anything.
No.
Okay, so what just happened? How did you go 48 hours and have a swollen knee? I don't know. But I'm here to say that's a big deal in year 19 because you've never had any knee issue at all. And if you're swelling, I'm saying something.
Well, there's
really
something
wrong.
in there that caused the swelling because that swelling is there. It's trying to protect something. So,
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Do you need some kind of cleanup surgery at the end of the year? You might, because most people do at some point. Mm-hmm. Most humans need a clean. If you played that many minutes, remember the all-time minutes, he's still at 3, right? Behind Karl Malone and Kareem. Right. And, is on course to pass both of them in minutes played. Yeah. Okay, there's high mileage on these knees.
Well, I mean, all you got to do is stay in them Thermaltake boots, get that pressure up, get that swelling up out of there. We're going to be all right.
You're going to be all right? Okay, I told you this the other day. I'm going to say it again. I still believe he needs to lose 10 pounds. I think he plays too heavy.
No.
He's 6'9".
We got to take that punishment.
He looks 260-ish, maybe even a little more. And it works when he freight trains to the basket because nobody can deal with it.
We got to take the cushion.
Nobody can deal with it.
Hold on. Now you want the man to lose weight. You've been telling the man, drive LeBron, drive LeBron. Okay, now he's driving and he needs to have that weight to drive, and now you want him to lose weight.
Okay, but when you steal it and go thunder dunk it and put on a show, you're coming down with 265, 270 pounds of force on your knees. They were not made to take that at age 37. I promise you they weren't. God didn't say, yes, you can do that at 37. It will not work. So if you could lose 10 pounds, you could take a little bit of the load off your knees going forward. I think you have to.
We might have to shoot more threes.
Well, that's all you do is shoot.
And that's all we do.
Well, you're way more threes than twos now, which is crazy.
But we good at them twos, ain't we?
Okay.
You said we locomotive to the game?
You're excellent at twos. You're right now shooting 35.2% from three. That's no good.
Well, we shooting 52% from the floor, which is good.
52% is really good.
Okay, then. And we second in the NBA in scoring, which is great.
You're 75.9 from the free throw line, which sounds pretty good.
It is 76. That's 76. Well, stop doing it now. You know it's 76.
His career is 73.4, so he's up.
Yes.
A couple of percentage points up.
Okay. Okay.
And you still rank way below average in free throw shooting.
No. You see, you looking at everybody else that are extraordinary free throw shooters.
Yep.
We're 3% above our average. So give us credit for that.
Okay, I do.
Okay, then.
What I can't give you credit for is your team now ranks 17th in defensive efficiency. It's shockingly
Where does
bad.
LeBron rank as a defender? When he's the closest defender, he's like 7th or 8th in the league. He would shoot 40%. Yeah, that would happen.
He's been below 200 in overall defensive win
We're not there now, though.
Well, I think the last time I looked, he's 150. So it's just not good enough. And yet, I've seen these games without LeBron. I saw the one Friday night.
Yeah, you saw the one against Atlanta that they should have won.
Okay, but I saw the one at Charlotte, and it was a Russ special. Russell Westbrook went Oklahoma City. Russ.
Yeah, good for that.
It was by far the best game he's played.
Great stats, no win.
And what happened? He put up big numbers, and he fell back in love with threes. He made a couple in the fourth quarter, and he goes down with 5 seconds left, and they've got a shot to win the basketball game. And does he drive it? No, he's going to try another jerky where he just rips his hand back, and it didn't really.
Who thought he was going to make that?
Nobody thought he was going to make that, including Russ. Russ, he's got that little quick pullback. No, wide left and short. And And that was the ball game. So you did all that for nothing.
And then what
right?
about Sunday?
Sunday. Okay, they played 3 really good quarters of basketball against a team that had won 6 in a row, and
Right.
you're at Atlanta.
Right.
And what happened in the fourth quarter? You got blown off the floor.
38-20.
38-20? You're kidding me.
Yeah.
And Trae Young had done nothing the whole game, and all of a sudden he does everything in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Okay, way to go. Congratulations. Because I really thought with Russ and AD, you can win those kind of games.
You're supposed to.
You're supposed to win that game.
If they are what everybody's been telling me.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody. Russ is the first. All this Miles Bridges, the guy from Charlotte.
Yep.
I don't know why Russ receives all this criticism. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And we're not talking about what he's going to do. We're talking about what he's doing right now. Mm-hmm. See, everybody get caught up. Well, he's going to the Hall of Fame. Okay, fine. Right now.
Yep.
Either way, it's just, I want to.
Last quick point, AD, your man against Atlanta, it was time for him to rise and shine.
We need a 30-14 game.
Well, you got 27 and 5.
It's hard with
5?
Yeah.
But Skip, remember I told you his first game back.
Yeah.
I was okay with him being off. I said, but you can't get 2 rebounds in 25 minutes.
No, it won't work.
Got to find a rhythm at some point.
No mercy.
Well, while we are still processing Tom Brady's retirement, let's not forget about his counterpart, Aaron Rodgers, who has been flirting with the idea of retiring since last offseason. The two will forever be linked, so it's easy to think that Rodgers' decision about his own future may be impacted by the outpouring of support for Brady that we saw yesterday. So, Shannon, what do you think Rodgers was thinking as he saw all of yesterday's tributes to Tom?
He ain't getting that. That's what he thinking. He go get the Kobe treatment. He go get the Paul Pierce treatment. That's what he gonna get.
No, that's a little harsh. But
Skip,
okay, I got it.
He's not admired. He's not revered like Tom Brady is. He's not looked at as the ultimate teammate like Tom Brady was. I said that.
Draymond was shaming Paul Pierce at the end, making fun of him. Your retirement tour.
Yeah. So, and look, I get it. He's not going anywhere. I mean, it's just that. He definitely not retired now, because he'll be a footnote in Brady's Hall of Fame.
It's like you said about Roethlisberger.
Yeah, if I'm Roethlisberger, I'm not retired just yet. I'm just not playing. I'm going to retire the following year.
For his Hall of Fame.
Yeah, for his Hall of Fame. It's 5 years after you announce your retirement, Skip. You're eligible to be in the Hall of Fame. I just think the thing is, Skip, look, Brady is more revered. Is Rodgers more talented, can throw the ball better? Sure, fine. I give you all that, Skip. But the way his teammates, the way the fans look at Tom as opposed to Aaron Rodgers, it's not even close.
Yep.
It's not even close. And so to get this and everybody, people gonna be like, oh man, Aaron Rodgers retired. He'll get some, but he's not revered like that guy. It's just not gonna happen.
So if, in fact, Aaron sat and watched much or a lot of the coverage yesterday, he had to be flat out horrified by what he saw. The outpouring, the gushing, the emoting, the honoring, the saluting of Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. It went on and on and on and on. I was surprised about it, and I'm his biggest fan.
Right.
Because I thought there was a lot of Brady hate out there, but it was almost like he, quote unquote, football died. And then when that happens, everybody wants to eulogize and everybody rushes to outdo each other about he was this great. No, he was actually this great.
Right.
No, he was that great. And that's what happens usually when some icon passes away. But I think Aaron has seriously contemplated retiring now. And if he has, I'm with you. That would put a stop to it for me, because I would think, I want to follow that act?
Nope.
Who would want to try that?
No.
Okay, so he's about to win, I'm pretty sure, back-to-back MVPs, right?
Yes.
Aaron bleeping Rodgers. Yet, I feel like a flashpoint in his career was, I'm immunized. I think it was.
Yeah.
I think it turned a lot of people against him.
Well, Skip, there was always a groundswell, because he's always been, the way he treated the media, he's always thought he was the smartest guy in the room. He's always been condescending. He's always been smug. He's always been arrogant. He's always been narcissistic. He's always been aloof. Yeah. But then you throw that on top of it, and then it was like, oh, now y'all trying to silence me. Bruh, you going on this, you talking every Tuesday on Pat McAfee show. How you getting silenced? You call up and they call you up. Oh yeah, I do an interview. So nobody's tried to silence you. People just got tired of you lying. You lied. And then you get mad at us. Oh, they're trying to, the left. You lied. Instead of saying, you know what, guys, I apologize. I lied. I don't want to hear no misled. I lied, told people, they knew, the people that needed to know. Okay. And they cooperated. So both of you got what you deserved. You lying, smug, condescending, arrogant, aloof, narcissistic rascal that you are. You got exactly what you deserve. Tom Brady never treated the media. He might come out there, come on, guys, But Tom never treated the media like he's the guy that comes in there. You're beneath me, and you need to treat me as such. Yep. And don't ask me a question because you've never played the quarterback position. He's one of those guys. Well, how you going to tell me something about what I should have done? You never played. You never been in the room. I just know you shouldn't have thrown that ball. I know you should have got more than 10 points. I do know that. And so he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And in process of rubbing that, they're not going to give you the praise and the adulation that they gave Tom Brady.
Yep.
Tom Brady strikes you as a guy you want to have a drink at the bar with. And he would have a drink. He kind of makes you probably feel like he's known you forever.
Yep.
Even though he's heard some of the things I've said, he jumps on a call.
He did.
And he carries on and like nothing. He's like, how you guys, Shannon, you my guy, how you beat me up? That guy would jump on, he gonna be cold, not gonna say anything. So I don't know what he expects.
Yep.
That's what's gonna happen. People like Tom Brady more than they like Aaron Rodgers. Okay, fine.
Yet for the longest, I thought that was reversed.
No, it was
because
never.
I thought when we first started doing this show 6 years ago that Aaron was beloved more by you and others we had on the show, in largest part because he had more of a cool factor as a player. Not so much off the field, but his State Farm ads are always clever, and he's very good in them, obviously, and they've been relentless for years and years. He must have made more money from State Farm than he's made playing football. But the point is that he had all these signature Hail Mary throws, and you said he's transcendent thrower of the football, greatest thrower of the football ever, on and on. I give you that. That doesn't always contribute to winning the football game.
Correct.
But I give you that because it's cool. It's hip. The footwork could be horrible, but the arm talent, the arm angles are just like, what? How did he do it? Right. He was Mahomes before Mahomes was, right? Yes. So, by contrast, people just got sick and tired of Brady winning, but he didn't win spectacularly. Like I was thinking last night, what's Brady's signature moment? I don't think he has one because he didn't play signature football, right?
And all the games were close, Skip. It wasn't like he blew somebody out and he's sitting on the sideline in the fourth quarter up by 21.
Okay, but against Mahomes at Kansas City in overtime, he converts 3 straight 3rd and 10s. It's hard to do that.
Right.
Edelman, Gronk. But then the drive gets completed with a 2-yard run by Rex Burkhead.
Right.
Was that signature? Does that go into your file? Remember when? No, nobody remembers that.
He doesn't really have a signature. The signature throw in the Super Bowl, Skip, it happened in the first quarter. The first quarter to David Patton. It wasn't like the win. Like Aaron Rodgers had, as you mentioned, these Hail Mary throws. You've seen guys have these. Patrick Mahomes, he has the walk-off skip against the Chargers when Kelsey runs it in. He has the walk-off against Buffalo. So
spectacular highlights. Lead the highlight show highlights. And yet Brady, I'm thinking, okay, they came back from 28-3 down. He threw for 240 yards in the fourth quarter and overtime. But James White ran it in, right? James White ran it in from like 2 yards out. So that's the signature. That's not really the signature. What do you remember about the win over Russell Wilson in the Legion of Boom? You remember Malcolm Butler, right? And I remember Brady threw for 124 in the fourth quarter and hit Amendola twice for touchdowns. I think they were from like 2 yards and 3 yards out. Okay, so but yet the scales tipped toward Brady, I think, because Rodgers became very unlikable, and Brady just sort of kept on keeping on.
Well, I think the thing is, Skip, the biggest thing is that Brady makes you feel that he doesn't make you think that he's better than you just because he can do something that you can't.
Yeah.
And I think the other guy makes people feel that he's better than them just because he's a quarterback.
Yep.
He knows more than them just because he's a quarterback. And so people, look, I understand that because you can do something better than I can do it, it doesn't make you a better person. Now, might make you better, and that's why I try to make people feel, I believe I can debate better than you can do whatever it is you do. But I don't think I'm better than you because I'm on TV doing what I do.
Yeah, I got it.
Aaron Rodgers makes people feel because he's a quarterback, he's so much smarter than you, he's so much better than you because he's a quarterback in the NFL and you're not.
Okay.
And Tom Brady doesn't make you feel that way.
And yet, in the end, you hear all these numbers, these spectacular Brady achievement numbers, and you remember that Aaron Rodgers, since the one Super Bowl he got 2-1, he's 7-9 in the postseason and 1-4 in NFC Championship games.
Well, I mean, you can't. I mean, look, and everybody, well, he blocked the punt out. At some point in time, you got to be the reason why they win.
Yeah,
that's simple. You're the quarterback. You get all that credit. Oh, you see him throw the pass. You see him be the reason why they win.
I don't know. I don't
and
know
not excuses for what the defense didn't do this or the special teams didn't do that. You need to be a reason why they won those games.
On the positive side is the Wicked Witch is dead now for him, right? There's no more Tom Brady. So maybe
that is
it still ain't no guarantee.
No one standing in the way in that sense. No mercy. Antonio Brown posted a video tribute to Tom Brady on Instagram showing some of their best plays together from their time in New England and Tampa. And in the caption, AB wrote, quote, "Thank you for enabling me to continue my career in my darkest times and helping me become a champion." Shannon, your reaction to this?
Man, AB full of it. AB trying to clean up the mess that he made. This is what AB said on the podcast a couple of days after he did what he did in New York.
Yeah.
Brady can't do bleep by himself. But you guys will make it seem like he's just this heroic guy. If Tom Brady's my boy, and why am I playing on an earnest salary? Gronk is his boy, right? How much did Gronk get paid? So why is AB on a prove it deal? That's Antonio Brown when he's angry. Now remember, 3 people will tell you the truth. Drunks, kids, and angry people. Now all of a sudden, he having revisionist history. He like, man, Tom did all that for me. All the things that he said yesterday, he didn't mention any of that in the podcast. So what changed? I just want to know what changed. The only thing changed, Tom Brady retired. Tom Brady still did what you said yesterday in the podcast 2 days after you did what you did in New York. But you didn't mention any of that. You took shots at the man. When they told you the man let you stay at his house, I got my own money. I ain't need to stay at his house. He was just doing that for PR. All the things that you said while you was angry, now all of a sudden, it's like, we say the best things about somebody when they passed. He retired. Now you want to say all the good things when the man just a couple of weeks ago you said none of this. So I take everything. I dismiss everything that he just said. I already know how you feel about Tom Brady. You told me how you felt about him.
Shannon Sharpe, this is straight comedy to me because how big of fools does he take us for?
Oh, he got a lot of people that
buy this.
Yeah,
right? They swallow this.
1,000%.
This is another reason why I don't believe anybody will give him a shot next year. I hope you're right because I don't want to see anybody's career end, and I do think he's got some left in the tank. I don't know how bad his ankle is or foot is or whatever his problem. I haven't heard anything about any surgery.
Yeah, you're supposed to have surgery. That's what his attorney said.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope he's okay, but. There were even more quotes than the ones that you read because he said, I don't know how many podcasts he did. He did like 30 of them.
Yes.
So I'm sorry if I'm not crediting the right one here, but here's one. To me, a friend is someone who's got your back.
Okay.
Tom Brady's my friend. Why? This is on one of the podcasts.
Yes.
A couple days after the meltdown. Why? Because I'm a good football player. He needs me to play football. People have different meanings of what friendship is. So he's disqualifying friendship. He's saying we are not friends.
Tom Brady is only my friend because I can help him win football games.
Correct.
We're not friends off the field.
Then he called Brady the general manager of the Buccaneers. And he said that he and his agent went to the real general manager, Jason Light, and asked for the $2 million incentives up front, like guarantee it, just go ahead and give us. And again, Jason Light, who I thought was the GM, said no. But now AB in this podcast was blaming that on Brady, that it was actually Brady who said no. And then he went on to say someone's my friend, and I'm on this prove it deal like you read, to say you're my friend, I shouldn't be playing on those types of deals when I just came with you and won a Super Bowl for you. So he is also condemning Brady for forcing him to take a prove-it deal this past season.
Right.
Well, time out. You were a free agent, as in free, right. As in those commercials, free, right? As in you could go anywhere. You got 31 other opportunities for them to pay you a lot more than Tampa did. And guess how many came to the table? None did.
Exactly.
Because he had to basically crawl back to GM Brady or whoever it was and say, hey, Skip, I'll play.
Skip, he was going to be on a prove-it deal wherever he went. But how you get upset, Skip, it's like if I got a friend, I help him get a job, and then he turn around and tell me, man, Sharpe ain't ish. He ain't get me no big-time money. Bruh, you didn't have a job. I got you a job. So you're not going to be thankful that I got you a job. You're going to talk about I didn't get you top dollar in the job. You see, and that's the problem. He doesn't get it. He had no job. He was wherever he went, even if he didn't go back to, let's just say for the sake of argument, it was reported that Seattle wanted him. He was going to be, does he actually think somebody is going to give him 10, 12, 15 million of their dollars when they seen how you behave?
Like the Raiders gave him? Yeah.
Or like Pittsburgh, when they saw how you behave, we can't give you no money, and then you show up, you come to practice when you want to, you come to meetings when you want to. Why would I do that? I'm going to put you on a prove-it deal. That way you act a fool, it's easy for me to go ahead and get up off you. It don't cost me nothing. You play week to week.
Hey, he had it so good.
Yes.
He did have the whatever injury it was to his ankle. I don't know what it was, but he played a few games early, and he was the highest targeted Buccaneer, highest targeted receiver. Then he misses whatever it was, 8 or 9 games, and then he comes back at Carolina, and Brady threw him 15 footballs.
Right.
You should say, thank you, God. I'm playing with the GOAT in Tampa. We got a chance to go far into the playoffs, and I'm going to blow that up, and he blew it up.
Skip, in 22 years, how many coaches, general managers, front office people do you think Tom Brady has come in contact with? How many of those people you think are still employed with team in the NFL? Tom Brady, you okay? I'm cool with Tom. Hey, Tom, bro, I need a favor, bro. Man, you know me. You can vouch for me. Doesn't Tom Brady got 2 people in Houston?
Yep.
I mean,
they're everywhere.
Yeah, thank you. You would like to think a guy that played 22 years that's Tom Brady. Tom Brady pick up a call. Tom Brady vouch for somebody. Oh, they getting a job. Whether it's in the mail room, maybe it's the fields, maybe it's whatever the case may be. If Tom Brady calls somebody, they getting a job, Skip.
Yep, I believe that. Can't you make a case that Tom Brady was the greatest thing to ever happen to Antonio Brown?
Yeah, because he about to be done.
About to be done. So now he completely reverses field, and we're supposed to swallow the fact that he's saying, I'm forever grateful for the opportunity to play with you. And what was the video attached to this? It was all AB catching touchdown passes. So the video was more of an advertisement to me in the end for AB than it was a tribute to Tom. It was like, hey, everybody, remember me? I was catching touchdown passes from Tom
What you
Brady.
said yesterday is what you should have said 2 days after you did what you did in New York.
Yeah.
That's when you say, I'm forever grateful, Tom, for all that you've done. Appreciate you being a great friend. Sorry that I let you down. Sorry that I let my emotions get the best of me. Sorry that I behaved in a manner that's unbecoming of Antonio Brown.
That's how you get another shot.
That's how you do it. You don't take shots at the guy that helped you get an opportunity, and then once he retires, says, well, this is what I really think. No, you already told me what you really think of me.
I thought the subliminal message of this video was, I helped make him what he was. Remember me? Yep.
Man, Tom Brady was made before. Tom Brady was made before he set foot in Tampa.
Yep.
Tom Brady was Tom Brady before Tampa. He gonna be Tom Brady after Tampa. He'll be wherever he be. He Tom Brady. He TB12. However he wants to go about it, that's what he was. So ain't nobody taking no credit for no Tom Brady. Say, well, I made you. No, you didn't.
So what's your gut feeling? If AB says, Tom, calls him, texts him, whatever, will you vouch for me because I can get a job in Kansas City or wherever?
Knowing Tom would probably take the call.
Would.
Yeah.
Tom would probably take the call. Tom better than me.
Which is why,
Tom nicer than me.
Respected in so many ways. It does seem like he probably would take it. I'm curious if he would offer up that advice to another team.
No mercy.
Jim Harbaugh is reportedly interviewing with the Minnesota Vikings today with expectations that he could be named the coach. When asked about the interview, Harbaugh told the St. Paul Pioneer Press, quote, "I'm not confirming anything or denying anything." But he reportedly said some goodbyes and thank yous to the Michigan Wolverines on Monday. I have so many friends that have been texting me my thoughts on this. They want to know what I'm thinking. I want to know what Shannon and Skip are thinking. If you ran an NFL team, would you hire him?
No.
Shannon.
And this is what Brian Flores is talking about. They just had Patrick grabbing that thing for 9 hours. Now, Jim Harbaugh leaves on National Signing Day. Now, if Nick Saban were to go somewhere, Skip, on National Signing Day, I'm going to deduce Nick Saban doesn't plan on being at Alabama any longer.
That is a fact.
Now, do you actually think if Jim Harbaugh was going to be the head coach at Michigan, he would allow his defensive coordinator to go join his brother, who had just sent him there just the year before?
Correct.
No, I wouldn't, Skip, because here's the University of Michigan is the first job that Jim Harbaugh has been on for longer than 4 years. He wears on people. That's everywhere that he's been, that I've talked to people, he wears on you. He grinds you down.
Yep.
And after a while, he's ready to move on, and you can't wait until he moves on.
Yep.
So, no, I would not hire him. I would not, and I don't believe he'd have lasted as long as he did at Michigan had he not been an alum, considering that he couldn't do any better than what he was doing.
I'll buy that.
So,
I would agree with you. Yet, Michigan forced him to take half the pay this year, and now he is paying them back by going scorched earth on them. He's just saying, I am out of here on National Signing Day.
Yep.
I am gone. I'm going to Minnesota. The new GM he worked with in San Francisco, so he's got a connection there. So back to Jenny's question. What do I think of him as a National Football League coach? And again, he's a white man, and I get we got all kinds of black-white issues going on, but I'm going to just do it in a vacuum.
Right.
You cannot argue what he did for those what he did those 3 years, because he got to 3 championship games and a Super Bowl. And I'm pretty sure without Jim Harbaugh, there would not be a Colin Kaepernick, because he was the one who had the guts to say, I just can't win big with Alex Smith.
Correct.
I will elevate you mid-season, and here they went to the Super Bowl. And remember, Colin threw it in the end zone. A pass,
Crabtree.
Yeah, to Crabtree. And I thought it was blatant pass interference as we could see it. That's a foul. I'm sorry, that's a foul. It should have been 1st and goal at the 1. That's just pass interference. I'm sorry.
They probably would call that now.
They would call that now. And if you called it then, San Francisco is going to win the game, right?
Yep.
And Jim Harbaugh beats his brother John in a Super Bowl game, and Colin Kaepernick has a ring on his finger.
Yeah, he's the MVP.
He beat MVP, well, no doubt. And then they came right back the next year to their 3rd straight championship game. Unfortunately, it happened to be at Seattle against the Legion of Boom at their greatest. And there's the last pass that he threw. They got tipped up by Richard Sherman.
Damn, Crabtree agreeing.
I know, it's another Crabtree, but it was a really good play by Richard Sherman.
It was a great play by Sherman.
Remember, he went off after the game to Aaron Andrews, right?
Tried me with some sorry receiver. That's what you get.
No, that's what. Okay. But my point is, Harbaugh just coached the you-know-what out of those 3 teams. Again, it's going to be a short lifespan because he is going to wear everybody out. He can be wacky, he can be kooky, he can be impossible to deal with, but I believe he can really coach it at the highest level. I think he's a better pro coach than a college coach. Yeah. That's just me. He finally broke through at Michigan and beat Ohio State and got to a playoff game and ran into the wrong team at the wrong time, right?
Yep.
But still, how can you argue with those 3 years of 3 championship games, a near Super Bowl win and a near Super Bowl
Well, I hope Minnesota gets a Super Bowl out of those 3
well,
4 years.
That's what you'd have to do is say, okay, here we go.
Right.
Let's just close our eyes and hope we got him for 3 years and he'll burn us out and he'll burn out.
Right.
Right?
Yep. That's what you're hoping for. But he did a number on Michigan. With this job, what he doing right now, Skip, he did a number on Michigan.
Well, listen, when he decides he's going to get even with you because you got wronged, and they cut his pay in half.
What you expect, Skip?
I know.
You lose to Ohio State.
You were all over him.
Yes.
Yeah. He lost to any, all the big teams.
Yes.
He just kept, he couldn't win any big
Losing
games.
Michigan State, losing Ohio.
Yeah.
Ohio State.
I mean, the overall record of Michigan was fine. 61 and 24?
Right.
42 and 17 in the Big Ten. That works.
But Skip, they look at Michigan as a blue blood.
Yeah.
So you got to be Ohio State playing from the college football playoff. Be like Alabama. Be like Clemson. Be like Georgia. Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. That's what they expect from Michigan. You going 9-2, 9-3, and losing the Citrus Bowl ain't gonna cut it. And that's what he was doing. You got to pay that.
I think, again, if you had a great black candidate, I'm taking him right now, especially under the circumstances. But in a vacuum, I think you would hire Jim Harbaugh for 3 years just to say, I want to see if I can take a shot here, right?
Well, I hope that's normally been his shelf life is 3 years. It might be shorter than that now.
It might.
He just grinds on people. He's annoying.
I'm still not sure what he would see in the Vikings. I'm not sure. Is Kirk Cousins the guy?
I mean, Cousins, Skip, they got a nice running game. They got two quality. Jefferson. Irv Smith Jr. is going to come back. He's a solid tight end. Now, you get the offensive line short up. Now, the defense did regress.
It did.
But, they got some pieces. They got... If you got a quarterback.
So.
Now, he's not... Kirk Cousins is not great, Skip. No. But on a given Sunday, he can throw for 400 and light you up.
Yep.
I don't know. I think I have to save my opinion until if it's official, I'll process it. But right now, the college football reporter in me worries about Michigan and leaving in this state, and his DC's gone, and where are they at? It's signing day. I mean, it puts that team in position in a really interesting place.
I wish you went to Oklahoma.
I'm going to wait and see what ends up happening.
You want him in Oklahoma?
No, I'll take my guy now.
You're good with your guy?
I just don't want to stink
your guy is going to be good.
Now you don't want to stink in Lincoln. He got on Caleb Williams.
You know what they say about karma.
Caleb Williams.
You know what they say about it? That B word is going to come back.
Why?
It goes around, comes around.
I thought you liked Caleb Williams.
Feeling good about it. We're moving on. No mercy. Get this, guys. LeBron trolled his hometown Browns by reposting a video celebrating OBJ making the Super Bowl with the Rams after his failed tenure in Cleveland. So, Shannon, wasn't LeBron supposed to be a Browns fan? I don't get it.
What are you laughing about?
You know LBJ going to show his support for OBJ. LeBron James is all about play.
From Akron.
He's all about player empowerment. He left the Cavaliers.
He
Remember?
Did?
Yeah, LeBron did.
He grew up in the Cleveland area as a quote-unquote Browns fan.
Players over organizations.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? LeBron James jumps bandwagons faster than Shannon Sharpe does. I have never seen anything like
bandwagon
this.
he jumped to?
Well, he was a Browns fan, then he was a Cowboys fan, and now he's a Rams fan because he's an Odell fan.
LeBron is about player empowerment.
Huh?
Hold on. You make it seem like Odell forced his way out of Cleveland. You couldn't wait to get him up out of there. And then he put 100 on him in the championship game. Looking good, didn't he?
100?
Yeah, put 100 on it. Got another one for the Super Bowl.
200 against
Kind of funny. Skip, Shannon, we're back at the same time tomorrow. Good stuff today. The Herd is on now. Have a good day.